Alright, Tigercast fans, it's time for some final thoughts ahead of our round 22 clash against St Kilda at the MCG. Before we get into it though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We're trying to hit 4,000 followers by the end of the year, and we'd love your support. It's greatly appreciated. But a big game this week. It's interesting. I know last time St Kilda knocked us off by 82 points, pretty comprehensive, and I think we've got about 5 different players in this time round compared to then. But weirdly, the vibe I get from other supporters and even from myself is I still feel like that we're a genuine chance in this one, and maybe that hope is somewhat false hope for whatever reason, given the margin last time. But I think the second half of the year has been interesting for us. I think a lot of us thought, me included, that we were probably going to taper off and fade away quite substantially. But we've actually found that we've had some really solid performances against Collingwood, who's a pretty well-credentialed side. We've obviously won a couple of games as well along the journey, which has been good. And I know the Gold Coast game last week was not at all what we wanted to see, but if you just look at the first half in isolation, I actually thought we played quite well. It was just our lack of finishing, which has been a problem all year. But I thought our intent, our effort was there, and I just kind of hope that if we bring that same effort and intensity, like what we saw in particular against Collingwood, but even against Gold Coast from that first half, against a team that's a bit more closer to our level, that we should hopefully see some better results and be able to execute things for a bit longer. It's been interesting to note that in the last half of the season, I've really felt like our ball movement's taken a bit of a turn for the positive. I do feel like in the first half of the year that we would maybe occasionally look inboard and occasionally try and take off that pass, and it wasn't really happening. We were very, very much a long down the line type team. But in the last part of the season, I really do think, like from my eye test, that I've seen that we've changed the way we've moved the ball. We are trying to be a lot more aggressive. We are trying to go inboard a lot more. We are trying to counter off halfback a lot quicker on turnover. And sometimes it doesn't come off. Sometimes the teams intercept or we turn it over poorly in the front half. So there's different ways in which it ends up undoing itself. But I think our intent and the way we've been trying to play has been a lot more positive than what we saw earlier. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit more upbeat about what could hopefully transpire tomorrow, because it's a game that both sides will definitely think they can win. The Saints on paper, as per what I was talking to Jake about last night on Behind Frenemy Lines, it's probably one of their better lineups in terms of speed, pace, class. Obviously, Wanganeen-Malira is doing unbelievable things at the moment, and I truthfully don't think we've got a player that can go with him. Even if hypothetically Jack Ross tags him at the start, if he starts in the midfield, for example, they can shift Wanganeen-Malira to half back. They can put him to half forward, and they're just going to move him around the park to pretty much break the tag. And he, if he's not already, will be in that similar type of mold of Nick Dacos, where they're kind of untaggable. So maybe you're just better off to go head to head, whether it's Taranto head to head with Wanganeen-Malira, and just they'll both be in space and see who can do the most damage. Although I don't like how that might pan out for us, if I'm being honest, just as is the class of Nasai Wanganeen-Malira. But, it presents another really good opportunity. We look at their forward line. You've got Mason Wood, who, as Richmond supporters will all know, notoriously has wonderful games against us when he was at the Kangaroos, and he kicked 3 goals last time against us for St Kilda. He has had a much better career at St Kilda, to be fair, but he is a player that always causes us issues. But Hugo Garcia, they got Mateus Philippou back. Jack Higgins is a bit of a barometer, which CB identified on Monday night. Max Heath and Cooper Sharman. Now, I do feel comfortable within our back 6 to be solid matchups for those players. It's probably more their smalls that I think might cause us some trouble than the bigs. We know that obviously Brody and Vlosten are playing pretty good football, but they're not as quick as they used to be. And I just don't think we have that genuine small defender lockdown role nailed at the moment. And there's a part of me that thinks that long-term Ryan Mansell could be redeployed back there to do that, but that's for another time. So hopefully we can keep Higgins in check, because I do agree with CB. I think he is a bit of a barometer. Once he's up and about, they tend to get going. They're missing Mitch Owens, which definitely helps. But they've got Liam Henry back and Philippou, who, add a bit of X factor and different dynamic to how they look. From our forward line perspective, we obviously get Tom Lynch back, which is good. I think we've said it for a long time now. Having that experienced body up front is definitely vital to help out. Well, now it's going to be Harry Armstrong who's up there. So we're obviously missing Jonty Fall and Tom Sims. So it's going to be interesting to see how the combination of Bolter, Lynch, and Armstrong work. Noah Bolter is going to obviously play backup ruck with Tom Sims missing. And I also wonder if Bolter will end up floating between defence and forward as well, depending on what's happening within the game. But I do sometimes think that Bolter can play his best football as a ruckman because it's a bit more instinctive, it's a bit more chaotic, and I think that suits his player type and personality a bit better. I know that might sound a little bit strange, but I just think when there's a little bit less structure and more instinctive play, that he seems to thrive a bit more and causes a bit more damage when he's just reacting and going. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes, to be honest. Although Max Heath is a much taller opponent than what Noah Bolter is in terms of a secondary ruck matchup, Bolter's obviously very athletically gifted and hopefully can just at least break even and maybe do some better work around the ground. But a much more experienced forward line this week. We've got Seth Campbell. They've named Jack Ross at centre-half forward, but who knows what will happen there. And Maurice Rioli Jr., who obviously, hopefully Campbell and Rioli Jr. maybe play a bit higher, and then Tash Houghton will roll through there as well. Steely Green, Tyler Sonzi. But above all else, we just have two genuine targets. I'll include Harry Armstrong. He's a genuine target too. But if you got Lynch and Bolter as two genuine targets to kick at, I think that helps with the defensive matchups. Now, the only caveat to that is it will not work and it will not matter if we go back to just bombing it on top of Lynch's head or Bolter's head. We must somehow maintain or increase our discipline of lowering our eyes and kicking to place on the lead. Whether that means Tom Lynch plays as the deepest forward and Bolter and Armstrong sort of get on their bikes and move up and down the ground and play link up in between, that's okay. I just don't want to see us go back to the old dump it long to Lynch and have every defender converge on him and see what happens, because it's not sustainable, it's not clean, it's not going to be a way to kick a winning score. So hopefully we can see some discipline on that front. In terms of some of the other changes, Luke Traynor out. I think we all kind of knew that was going to happen. He's not done anything wrong. He's just been a little bit sore the last few weeks. So he's named as an emergency. I kind of hope he doesn't play any VFL or anything at all and just has a full, pure week off to recover, which would be good for him. We get another look at Tash Houghton. Tyler Sonzi gets another crack. I'm not sure who they'll make sub. Look, you can only go off who's named on the interchange bench, which is Harry Armstrong, Tash Houghton, Tom Brown, Tyler Sonzi, and Steely Green. It won't be Harry Armstrong. It really shouldn't be and better not be Tash Houghton. It won't be Tom Brown. So I feel like it's coming down to Steely Green and Tyler Sonzi. If it was me personally, I think I would rather Sonzi on the park for his disposal. I think it's a bit better than Steely, but Steely has hit the scoreboard a couple of times recently too. So that actually could be a really interesting selection to see which way we go. Keen to hear what all of you think in the comments below on that front. But it's a game that presents another good opportunity for us. And I was having a look at some of the stats on Wheelo the other day, just in particular for the last 5 weeks, because I kind of feel like that's a bit more relevant now. But in the last 5 games, Richmond actually ranked number 1 for rebounds from defensive 50 and St Kilda is 17th. And I think we've all visually noticed that, haven't we? That with Short back in working alongside Banks, it seems to be working quite well, working in tandem and getting the rebound from 50. They're both running and carrying. They're both having long shots for goal. And I'm really liking how that's looking. Kick threat rating, St Kilda ranked number 4, so they are very damaging by foot and they're very effective when they do go by foot. That generally converts into some scoring chances. We're actually ranked number 8th in the AFL for the last 5 games. I didn't check what the first part of the season was, but if I was having an educated guess, I would say that that's a vast improvement on what we would have looked like at the start of the year. Because again, like I sort of mentioned at the start, we are taking on more dangerous kicks. We are being a bit more adventurous more frequently. And yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does work, it looks really good and it moves the ball fast and we become a bit more effective. We're just breaking down in that front half of the ground, as we all know and can clearly see. But hopefully having some more experience down there this week will help, bend that a little bit back in towards our favour. And above all else, we just need to convert our chances. It sounds really cliche, but bad kicking's bad football. I strongly believe that we are victims of our own lack of goal kicking, and all it does, it just creates pressure upon pressure upon pressure for the next person having a shot for goal. So like against Gold Coast, for example, we actually dominated territory in that first half for a period of time, but we just didn't score. So if we can dominate territory against the Saints, but convert our chances, I think you'll see the confidence in the playing group grow, and we might be able to turn that into something a bit more. So I'm kind of really relying on that. And finally, the stoppage numbers have been shithouse for us for the last 5 games, and that will come as no surprise to anybody because it stands out quite obviously. And we get smashed in most areas, but against the Gold Coast Suns, what was pleasing was to see a few more different names in those centre bounces. You saw your Maurice Rioli, Seth Campbell, Tyler Sonzi, Taj Houghton. So Taj had 3 centre bounce attendances, 1-2 clearances, which was a equal team high. Good for him, not such a great reflection for the team. But to give them that exposure, that education, and have that variation, I think is a really good thing. So I'll be hoping to see a bit more of that this week against the Saints, because they do have a deep midfield. They will roll quite a few names through there, and I think we should look to do the same, just if nothing else from an educational standpoint. But there you go. That is a bit of final thoughts on the game. I still think if we turn up and play our best football, that we can be a chance. If they play their best football, they will be hard to stop. But it's going to be interesting to see, again, how we go against a side that's a little bit closer to where we are, although they are a bit more advanced. Hopefully we fare a little bit better than what we did against the Suns. So let us know what you're thinking in the comments below. What are you looking out for tomorrow in the game? What do you want to see? What don't you want to see? Are you happy with the changes? All of that kind of stuff. Keen to hear all of your thoughts. But yeah, make sure we get around the Tigers tomorrow at the G. It's the first time they've played against St Kilda for quite some time, so that should hopefully factor in our favour a little bit as well. But let's get there and be loud and be supportive, and hopefully we can get a good win. So until the next one, go Tigers.